Hello YouTube friends, and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Deidre from Our Upcycled Life, and I do lots of thrifting, upcycling, repurposing, and DIY content. And today I've got 3 techniques that you can use salt to create chippy, textured, layered paint. These are 3 different techniques that are really easy to do, and I'm going to show you step by step how you can achieve this look yourself. And I'd also like to thank Skillshare for sponsoring today's video. Okay, let's get started. I'm going to show you the 3 techniques on this palette wood that I've already painted with some black chalk paint. The first technique that I'm going to show you is using pickling salt and spray paint. Now, for any of these techniques, you don't have to use pickling salt. You can use any type of salt. Epsom salt, table salt, bath salt, any will work. I just find the coarse pickling salt gives the best chipping effect. I've sprinkled the pickling salt all around the outside of the piece of palette wood, and then I'm taking my spray paint and I'm just spraying over top of the salt. As you can see in the beginning, I had the spray paint held too close to the salt, and when I sprayed it, it blew the salt away. You want to make sure you're having your spray paint held far enough away from the wood that you don't disperse the salt. You're going to set it aside, let it dry completely, and then once it's dry, I just like to take a paintbrush and just brush away all of that salt. As you can see, when you brush away that salt, we're left with a really chippy, layered look. That black is peeking through, and all those grains from the salt have given different texture to that paint underneath. I really love this method, and it's really quick and easy to do. Great base for signs. Then I like to take my palm sander with my 80 grit sandpaper and just sand over the entire board. All 3 of these techniques can also be used on furniture, and they create an amazing antique looking piece of home decor on a budget. This next technique is crazy easy. Paint your board with any type of paint you want. You can use latex, you can use chalk paint, you can use up acrylic paint, and paint your whole board. Before it dries, pick up your salt and just sprinkle your salt into that wet paint. That's it. That's how easy it is. And you can create a fantastic chippy look with this sprinkling of salt on top of the wood. We're going to set it aside and let it dry completely. That's completely dried now, and now we want to sand off the salt. Make sure you're doing this in an area where it doesn't matter if you make a mess, because it can get really messy. And you just sand until all the salt is gone. I'm using an 80 grit sandpaper, and as you can see, anywhere that there was salt, it has soaked through to that base color, and it's leaving that chippy effect. Now I've got it all sanded, and you can see how beautiful this looks. You can see the black that showed through where the salt was, and with it sanded around the edges, it looks fantastic. Now I'm going to show you my favorite technique. This one takes a little bit more work, but it's worth it, and you can add 2 or more colors and have that layered chippy look. I'm using up some of my acrylic paint. I'm just going to put enough acrylic paint in there to do 1 coat on the board, and I'm also going to use some of this yellow. I think they're going to look really fantastic together. And then you just pour in your salt. There's not really any measurement. You just pour it until all the paint and the salt has incorporated together, and the more you put in, the more chippy you're going to get. The less you put in, the less of effect you're going to get. And you just stir it together. And you can just imagine all the color combinations that you can mix together using this technique. It's also a great way to use up your little bits of paint. If you appreciate a good DIY, you need to subscribe to Skillshare. If you've ever had any questions or just want to learn more about crafting, then Skillshare is a place for you. Skillshare is an online video-based platform where you can learn anything from photography to calligraphy. And the difference between Skillshare and YouTube, and why I like it so much, is it focuses on interaction, much like being in the real classroom. The instructor lays out the steps and information in a way that's easy to comprehend. It's also ad-free, and you can stay in the zone while exploring new skills. With new classes being launched every week, there's always something new to discover. I just finished taking Peggy Dean's macrame class, and it is amazing. I have taken my macrame skills to the next level because of Peggy's class. For less than $10 a month, you can learn a new skill. The first 1,000 people to use the link on my description box or the code will get 1 month free trial of Skillshare. So try it out and let me know what you think. Okay, let's get back to painting. I'm going to use this turquoise color first, and you just want to spread it out on the board. The thing with this technique is you don't want to actually use brush strokes. You want to dab up and down. If you use the brush strokes, you're going to brush that salt back and forth and the paint's going to get underneath it and you're not going to get that effect. So just dab it up and down until you cover the whole board. This is kind of a simplified version of my salt wash paint, which I absolutely love. I have a full tutorial on how to create that recipe. I'll put a link down below in the description, but this is just a quick and easy way to get a similar result. We've got the first coat dabbed on. We're going to set it aside and let it dry thoroughly. The first coat is completely dry, and this is crucial. You have to make sure it's completely dry before you put on the next coat. We're going to use the yellow acrylic paint with the salt mixed in it, and the same process, just dab it up and down. I'm only going to be using the two colors today, the turquoise and the yellow, but you can definitely layer on all kinds of different colors and the effect is amazing. Okay, we've got the last layer on. Now we have to set it aside and let it completely dry. This is a crucial step, is letting these dry in between each coat. If not, when you go to sand it, you are going to have a mucky mess. So we want it nice and dry. I'm going to go over this with my 80 grit sandpaper. Make sure you're sanding in an area where it doesn't matter if you make a mess, because this is really messy as you're sanding off all of the salt. And it's all finished, and isn't this fantastic? It's so chippy and layered, and I think it actually looks authentic, like an old piece of weathered wood. So there's 3 different ways that you can use salt to create texture, chippy, layered looking wood. So make sure you try out these techniques for yourself, and I hope it was helpful. Let me know down in the comments which one's your favorite. And if you really like this video, I'd love for you to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications so you don't miss any more great DIY content. Have a great day.